Hi, my name is Autumn Waska, and I work at the British Consulate in Houston for the UK's Department for International Trade. My role in the British Consulate is a trade and investment officer for life sciences in the South Central region. So this area encompasses Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and New Mexico. My role is to lead on relationships and opportunities for UK companies like yourselves who are looking at this region as an export opportunity. I put together a little bit of a slideshow today for you to tell you about some of the opportunities and the exciting partnerships that we have in Texas for companies like yourselves to take advantage of. So I will pull up this presentation now, and we can jump right in. So why Texas? Well, everything is bigger in Texas, as they say. Texas is the second largest state in the United States in size and population. It's the 10th largest economy in the world, ahead of Australia, Mexico, Spain, and Russia, and equal to Brazil. There's a workforce in Texas of about 14 million people. Texas is also the #1 destination for company relocations. It's the #1 state for GDP growth, and we've been recently the #1 state for relocations, as I mentioned. And some of these companies include McKesson, 3M, Kimberly-Clark, Smith & Nephew, Integer Holdings Corp., JLabs, and Cyberonics. We have also been the #1 exporting state for 18 years. When you think about life sciences in the United States, you may be thinking East Coast or West Coast, but there's been a third coast that has come about, and that's right here in Texas on the Gulf Coast. So in Texas, or on the third coast, Houston is home to the world's largest medical center, which is the Texas Medical Center, or TMC for short. In that campus, there's 60 member institutions, over 10 million patient encounters, and it's home to Texas Instruments, Johnson & Johnson, General Electric. Also in Texas, we've got Amazon, Dell and Philips, and numerous other OEMs that are active in healthcare. In Texas, there's over $5.3 billion in annual research for R&D, including clinical trials, basic research, and everything in between. In Texas alone, the life science economic output is over $61 billion. Interestingly, although it's not really known, but it is quite active in clinical trials, and actually we're second nationally for our clinical trials, with about 27,000 here in the state of Texas. In recent studies, three of Texas cities are going to be the new top emerging life science hubs. So actually the 3 out of a list of 9. Before I go into Houston, I just wanted to also highlight a couple other opportunities in Texas, and then we'll dive deeper into Houston specifically. But the other areas are Austin, Dallas or Dallas-Fort Worth, and San Antonio. Careful if you're in Fort Worth, make sure and don't say Dallas-Fort Worth, they'll get a little bit fussy. But so yeah, within Austin is actually one of the capitals of the startup ecosystem in the States. So there's a massive concentration of universities, of angels, VCs, tech companies, and kind of everything in between. So that has now turned into a lot of a life science opportunity or med device, as well as health tech opportunity in general. So Dell Medical School opened their first medical school in Austin, and actually has a interactive kind of virtual hospital on campus. There's lots of opportunity to partner with them, lots of opportunity to pilot stuff, and overall it's a massive tech hub. There's also a lot of venture capital in Austin, as well as the startup ecosystem. There's quite a few new labs that have been popping up. One of particular interest is Med2Market. And then there's also the Austin Healthcare Council, which is a large networking group that has all of the hospital systems involved, the big stakeholders in general, so like other companies, different decision makers, consultants, reimbursements, and all of the major players that you would want to network with. So Dallas-Fort Worth, or DFW, that is the home to the payers and insurers here in Texas. So while there is a large mass of hospital systems there, there's also opportunity to interact with payers and insurers out of the Austin area, or I'm sorry, out of DFW area. They also do a lot of R&D and academic research. One of the greatest groups you can get involved with in that area is Help Wildcatters. They have a angel fund as well as a VC fund that they've set up, as well as an accelerator program. So there's lots of opportunities to network and get involved with people that might be able to help move your product into market. I'll skip over Houston for a minute and we'll jump to San Antonio. So San Antonio has some of the world's best Mexican food. I highly recommend it. But besides that, there's also quite a lot of healthcare activity going on. So UT actually has a San Antonio has a military campus as well as a medical center that does a lot of research, and there's a lot of funding that goes through their campus. So it's a great opportunity to be able to trial your product and help develop it with the US government. It also has a great networking group with Biomed San Antonio. They're very active. They've brought together a lot of the institutions to be able to provide different services and support to companies that are looking at coming into Texas. So I'll go on the rest of this. I will focus on Houston specifically. So let me just jump right into the Texas Medical Center. So the Texas Medical Center is both a region, like a geographic region, as well as a corporate entity. So you'll hear me refer to Texas Medical Center as TMC, and that could be both the physical area, but more often it will be the actual corporate partner that we have partnered with. So the Texas Medical Center as a geographic region has over 10 million patient encounters per year, as I mentioned earlier. There are 180,000 plus annual surgeries, and within just this geographic region, there's over 106,000 employees. Now this region is a 2.5 square mile radius. So you can pretty much do all of your business for quite some time on a very small campus and be able to access Memorial Hermann, Texas Children's Hospital, MD Anderson, Baylor, Houston Methodist, and other major hospital systems like that. They're very exciting for Houston is they are actually breaking ground for the TMC3 campus, which they'll be building. And I believe, this is my next slide. So the TMC3 campus is going to be massive and really exciting. And so what they've done is TMC as an entity has brought together 3 other partners to launch this campus. So they brought together MD Anderson, UT Health, and Texas A&M Health. And this campus will be 250,000 square feet that will house research amongst these 4 institutions. And the goal of this is really to foster collaboration between these academic institutions and industry partners. So on this campus, there will also be meeting space, office space. There's going to be wet labs, every type of research tool that you might need. And really what they've done when they've designed this is interesting is the entire building will pretty much be glass. And so you'll be able to see through because they really want to foster collaboration and not so much of the competition that the healthcare industry typically has, at least in the US. So this campus is also going to be bringing in venture funding, investors in general, big corporate partners, and is a great opportunity for new businesses to be housed on this campus. The current campus, that is the TMC Innovation Campus, is actually an old cookie factory, the old Nabisco cookie factory. So that's up on the top left-hand side of the screen. And they took this old warehouse and turned it into a pretty much healthcare, health tech, med device hub for anything that you might want to do as a startup or a scale-up or an SME like yourself. So within this campus, there are quite a few programs and different corporate partners that are involved too. So on the bottom right, and I apologize, I couldn't find an image that was not as pixelated, but you'll see kind of the layout of the campus. And so the first partner was Johnson & Johnson J Labs that came in. And they were so successful that they actually launched their Center for Device and Innovation, CDI. And this is the coolest prototype establishment I think that I've ever seen. And it's just this massive warehouse full of every type of tool that you might need. It's run by a gentleman named Dr. Billy Cohen, who's taken 3 of his inventions public and is there for as a resource for companies that are coming through and are really interested in partnering with Johnson & Johnson. There's also AT&T Foundry, so looking at some of the connectivity in healthcare and being able to bring different elements of technology into the health setting. And then ABB Robotics is the most recent corporate partner, and they are looking at doing a lot of the robotic surgeries and really how to automate some of the healthcare involved. Now, within the TMC as a corporate entities programs, they have quite a few that you'll see listed at the top right. So you've got the TMCX Accelerator, you've got TMCX Plus, TMCXI, TMC Act, the Biodesign, and TMC Ventures. So going through those briefly, the accelerator, TMCX, is a accelerator program that they've changed the structure of. So if you've heard this mentioned before, this might sound a little bit different, but it's now become a year-long program. And there's a series of interviews at the beginning, and companies are invited for a 2-week boot camp. Now, this 2-week boot camp is in and of itself an amazing opportunity because for those 2 weeks, it will be kind of a crash course on US healthcare, what it looks like in Texas, and more importantly, one-to-one meetings with the different stakeholders and decision makers at hospitals and other potential customers. From that 2-week boot camp, there's about 10 to 15 companies that are invited into that, and then they pare that down to between 3 and 4 companies that are then able to partner with TMC for the duration of the year and basically use TMC as an extension of their commercial team. TMC X Plus is a co-working campus within the building, and it is actually, in order to be part of TMC X Plus and have office space there, you have to be a healthcare company and you have to have full-time staff. I'm going to put a pin on that because I will tell you the good news for you that will make it less cost intensive and a little less risky when I go into my next slide and some of the partnerships that we've created for your benefit. They have recently added TMC XI, which is for industry partners. So that includes any of the lawyers or the consultants and the general experts that are really critical in helping a business grow locally. So they're right there on campus and accessible to companies that are housed within TMC Innovation to be able to get and access services. And oftentimes there's a pretty substantial price reduction for companies that are on campus if you're looking at hiring a consultant. The TMC Act program, I won't talk a whole lot about. It's for therapeutics and is a incubator program. Biodesign is an in-house designed after the Stanford Biodesign program, and it's fellows that come onto campus for a year to create a company and a product that might be able to help healthcare. And then TMC Ventures, which might be of interest to this audience, which is the venture fund that TMC as a corporate entity set up. And this is available for companies that have an affiliation with the Texas Medical Center campus. So whether that be through the accelerator or if you're partnered with the hospital system, if you're a supplier to the hospital, really any sort of affiliation makes you eligible to present to TMC Ventures for vendor funding. So I'll now talk about the UKTMC BioBridge, which is a project and a product of many hours and much blood, sweat, and tears. And I'm very proud of it and very pleased to have created this opportunity for companies like yourself. But the TMC BioBridge is a collaboration and a strategic partnership between DIT and the Texas Medical Center as a corporate entity. So this partnership actually provides priority access to UK companies that are applying to the accelerator program, and it has also provided access to TMC X Plus. So if you are looking at establishing a presence in the US and even if you just need an address because the hospitals say we want to make sure you've got a local office, you can access the TMC X Plus through this BioBridge program. DIT has co-working space there to be able to sublease to companies like yourself for a minimal fee. And I actually work out of that campus full time to make sure that we check the boxes and are following all the rules to be able to keep that space available to you. So this project, it took about 18 months of negotiations, conversations, quite a few trips back and forth, bringing TMC over to the UK to really understand where the opportunities were. And the goal of the program is to facilitate innovation to go both directions. So right now we've got the trade piece with UK companies coming over to TMC very well ironed out, and we are now looking at establishing opportunities for TMC companies to be able to invest in the UK and create jobs in the UK. So stand by for more details on that as they develop. Hopefully we'll have some good news in the next few months with that. But this program has been a great success, and we've had lots of ministerial support with this. When we launched this, we had Sir Mark Walport speak at it, as well as Baroness Fairhead. And then we've also had several other ministers along the way that have really lent their hand in supporting this to be able to provide opportunity to companies like yourselves. So to date, we have established this partnership and have had 8 companies that have completed the TMCX Accelerator program. We have 4 UK companies that have started their US offices within the DIT co-working space at TMCX Plus, and we have 3 UK companies that are currently going through the boot camp. Now, these companies that have actually completed at TMCX, just to give you an idea of what this accelerator can bring, they have had a range of success stories from pilot studies to actual contract sales. There's been further development on second and third iterations of their products. They have partnered with other hospitals and research institutions to be able to develop some of these new products. There have been expansions in their office. In fact, one of the companies, so we did have 5 companies, one of the UK companies just recently moved out because they have grown substantially and have hired 3 people here locally and needed some warehousing space. So they've outgrown our space already in a span of about 12 months. So there's a lot of growth potential in Houston, and the beauty of having a DIT officer on site is that I am an extension of your team as well. So I am here on the ground to create those relationships with the stakeholders and decision makers that are relevant to you, and then to be able to make those introductions and help facilitate those opportunities for UK companies looking at exporting. So I will leave it with that for now, but I did want to say thank you so much for your time. I am available to speak to each and every one of you. My contact information will be provided. I can also send out this slideshow so that you can reference some of the different opportunities that I mentioned. And please feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk to you, tell you more about the opportunities here in Texas, as well as make some of those introductions and get y'all into this market. So have a great rest of your day. It looks like a fantastic program, and I'm so sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I look forward to meeting y'all. Thanks so much again. Take care.